Hi, my name is Ryan Smith. I'm the founder and creative director at Invrse Studios, which is a VR content creation studio. We're over on the west side. And we have made a couple of games now. Our first one that actually made it all the way to Steam is a sniper game called The Nest for the HTC Vive. And in the creation of this game, we learned some really interesting lessons that I think we haven't even fully explored yet. But the title of my talk is Better Than Locomotion, using scopes inside VR. So I'm going to start this. We can watch it for a tiny bit, and then I'll just kind of talk over as it keeps going. This is using a single controller inside the Vive. We actually have you put down the second controller because it just kind of gets in the way. And there's a scope which we use to magnify the distance. So that's me just going through a couple of the graphic settings. So you hold it up to your eye. One of the most miraculous things is that people find themselves closing the other eye while aiming down the scope, which is something that we didn't really expect. It actually makes it easier to aim. And we have a variable zoom system where you can pretty much zoom all the way out, or if you click it enough times, you can go potentially hundreds of meters into the distance. And the whole time, you're standing inside of a room that you never leave. So it's a small room, if I don't know if I look around inside this video, but it's just a kind of a little area that has little carvings on the walls, but you don't pay attention to the room, and to a certain extent, you don't even pay attention to the world. What you end up paying attention to is that tiny image in the scope, which you can actually pull up in front of your eye to take up your entire field of view. And the thing that we started to learn is that it actually is a presence multiplier. I had one anecdote. I played a game called Thunderbirds at the Unity Vision Summit. It's not out for the Vive yet, but it's a cool puzzle game done in Unreal. Ours is also in Unreal. And the example I tell people is that they had a little bit where there's a periscope, and the periscope pulls down like this, and you actually put a Vive controller on each side of the periscope, and then in the middle there's an image, and that image rotates based on what you're looking at. And it's the most presence I've ever felt in my entire life, and I was this close to an object while holding my hands out like this. And so I haven't written papers on it or anything, but I call it sort of the second screen effect. My guess is that we're so used to looking at our phones. Yeah, all the you. The Pokemon are outside. No. But so we're so used to these little ubiquitous screens that are in front of us, and we're used to tuning out the rest of the world. We're used to actually navigating the environment while doing this, and hopefully not hitting tables. And something about that effect, ooh, that's close, is it takes you, I guess, out of what you're doing, which is standing in an alien landscape, looking off into weird buildings with robots and all these crazy science fiction things, which is not fully believable, and it takes you into a situation where, here, I guess I'll loop it. You're doing something mundane. You're looking at a screen. You're doing something that we kind of do every day, and so the theory that I have is that it tricks our brains into just not paying attention to where we are. As a side benefit for everyone who knows that frame rate is a huge issue in VR, I can say that we can drop frames all the time, so long as you're not, when you're doing this, you don't want to drop frames because it goes stutter, 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 and you actually notice this thing called screen tearing. But when you pull that trigger, if I trigger a whole bunch of particle effects, physics simulation, I trigger all the scripts, the AI, all that stuff goes off at once, and at various versions of the game, you'd actually drop down to 40 frames per second for maybe half a second. But the whole time you're like this, bang, and you're not moving. You don't notice that you even have dropped frames. So this game, our performance wasn't even great. It's great now, but it wasn't great at the beginning, and no one noticed. It was really kind of crazy. People are staring at this object in their near field. I think John Carmack mentioned recently that there might be a problem with focusing on things that are close and focusing on things that are far away and close and far away because of the convergence effect. So it's possible we're going to make people go blind with this. The data is still out. But what we've done is basically, our game is one of the closest things to a traditional first-person shooter that anyone has actually seen. A normal mouse and keyboard just like moves you around. You mouse and you look around. In this game, that you have something that's in front of you, but it's familiar. It's a screen. You're using that screen to aim, and somehow it works really, really well. And for that purpose, I don't know how much time I got, but I took a couple of notes. I actually wrote a blog post that I'm going to probably post and link. And so the applications for this kind of mechanic don't end with sniper rifles. We know there's probably going to be a beautiful World War II sniper simulation where you're on top of a bell tower or something like that. One of the big game companies has all the assets, and they'll just whip it together, put that in, and it'll work. But some of the ideas, which I'll just give away here, a paparazzi style game where you're trying to get shots of celebrities. A detective game like Rear Window, where you're looking from a fixed position, but with like a telephoto zoom camera, and you're trying to catch someone in the act of a crime. A mystery is unfolding at these different windows. You can very easily take the direction the camera is looking, use that to trigger an event, and have those events play out as little vignettes off in the distance, while you know that someone's attention is on them. Obviously, a submarine game where you're using the periscope. I would play in a heartbeat knowing just how much presence you get standing there like this in the middle of your room. Let's see, did I have any other ones? Anything from like looking through telescopes, binoculars, and I think a camcorder. Almost like a found footage style experience where you're using the fact, camcorder has 20x zoom if you want to like look out, and so recording the world. I need to edit my blog post before I post it because we've just kind of entered a new AR apocalypse with the Pokemon Go, and I can very, very easily imagine even possibly a location-based game where you're in VR, you see a representation of maybe the area around you, and you zoom into different areas and watch Pokemon battles or collect them from a distance. I'm giving away all these ideas for free, apparently, because I have plenty on my plate. But if it hasn't been obvious, using a zoom lens doesn't have any motion sickness. There are no negative implications. You're not actually moving through the world. You're experiencing the world in a more resolved way, but while using your hands, using delicate hand motions in order to do it. I guess I'm definitely out of time now, but you're going to want to do some smoothing. I guess if there's secret sauce, the amount of jitter that you get in hand controllers, even lighthouses, touch controllers, just your hands is enough to actually kind of break the illusion and make you kind of really hate how far away you have to zoom. So find someone who's really clever at rotational math and get them to smooth out your algorithms, smooth more maybe by how far away you're zooming, things like that. If you get a nice buttery experience, then you can pretty much do anything with this sort of method. Thank you.